So the one thing that was coming to mind right now is dealing with disagreements at work, or even with your friends, right? Like I know some of us wants to be like, uh, they don't want to stir up some fires. They're not confrontational, but sometimes you just reach a limit point, right, where people just don't get it, or people are just trying to push boundaries to see how far you can take it, or how far you let yourself be pushed, right? And that's something I want to discuss today. In no particular order. I'm just gonna be on this mic talking about this topic. One thing I will talk about in the background, however, I do have to apologize for the recording. I'm not sure why it's been so laggy. It's only been with Battlefield 6 that it's been this laggy for the recording. I'm not sure why. I thought about uninstalling and reinstalling CC. That does anything, but I'm gonna see what it does once that happens. But essentially, what I want to talk about is just having this disagreement, right? It's kind of hard, especially uh, who you're talking with, right? And on top of that, how do they perceive you? What's your reputation and what's your experience and how old you are, etc. All these other factors that shouldn't be a part of the argument is just embedded, right? So if you're arguing with somebody who has a lot more experience, it's going to be a lot harder to convince that person, or even have that person see, but more importantly, respect your points of views. Trying to convince is going to be a hard part, but at least trying to get your points across in a way where you're not seen as like passive, you can't do it, you're not involved in the conversation, but you're not respected, right? Is the point with that I'm trying to make here. The experience that I had was essentially, hey, like I'm a systems person. I know about the system. Trying to explain to the business side of the trying to speak to the worker on the business side of things, and trying to bridge the understanding is where it gets hot and heated. Essentially because they have certain tasks and requirements trying to get out the way, and the system isn't able to handle that, right? And the obvious answer is to, okay, just change the system, will change the business tasks or requirements, and that's not it's not straightforward. It's going to be costly, and the in the very short form of putting that is there are other things that people need to worry about, and not gonna dedicate some time and resources to change one thing for one person, right? But anyways, the disagreement was simple. Like the person had to do ABC, and I had to do X, Y, and Z in order to convince the person that the system just can't do it because it wasn't built like that. And the conversation was pretty straightforward. They want to do A, suggestion is B, answer does not exist, just that. But then the person just didn't budge, right, or didn't care. But the idea was simple when it comes to how things were presented, how things were being spoken. The undertone and the energy behind. The person doesn't want to be a pushover. The person is I'm forgetting how to put this into simple words, but essentially they don't want to be pushed around by somebody who's less experienced, right? And that's the energy that I was given, and my experience it comes from a systems perspective. And of course, it doesn't necessarily lend itself 100% translation to whatever this person is doing. The issue becomes where, like, hey, like, why is this person? I understand this person is a systems person, but wouldn't necessarily understand my needs because I do more important things, right? And that's the issue that starts to become like an undertone when it comes to interaction. Like I say A, and then they say B, but really, and in a way that, hey, like I'm not gonna not gonna listen to this person. And of course, it's also my responsibility to try to wouldn't say deflect, but respond in such a way where hey, like this person is saying certain things, respectful, and because the last thing you want to sound the last thing you want to be perceived as somebody that just can't handle a certain conversation, and it's harder since this conversation took place in front of everybody, and I don't know. I think poor judgment was also on my end for having uh, offered a suggestion, but even though a suggestion is there for everybody else to use or to consider, but I'm trying to allude to the idea of like choosing your battles, right? Do you really want to? Are you ready for all of this, right? Are you ready for this level of interaction, especially when somebody is being, they'll just eat you alive if you're not ready. And that's the idea, or that's the epiphany that I reached when it comes to, hey, like, if you're not ready, don't do it. But if you always say you're not ready, then you'll never do it, and then you'll never learn. I think what pushed me to get engaged in this conversation in front of everybody was, one, because I was presenting in front of everybody. That was the thing. It was like a 2-3 minute presentation done on my end, and I know I was doing it well. There were people in higher positions, higher status than me, that I needed to persuade, to to show them that, hey, like, I can present, I can have this conversation, I can, I'm the systems expert. You guys can come to me, not necessarily will and should listen to me, right? Is also part of it. So I did my part to show them that, hey, like, I have a voice on me. I have a certain level, get tamed ego. Maybe it was a bit too much for me to offer a suggestion with that kind of voice to this person. But hey, you never know. It could have gone well. I would say maybe objectively it went 40-60. 40 didn't go, 40% it went bad. No, sorry, 40% it went good, and 60% went bad. I'm learning from this experience, and the main takeaway is, hey man, you have the system knowledge, now you need the business knowledge to pair it up with, so you can have this conversation with these people. And essentially, nobody cares too much about the systems. They care about the bottom line, right? Which is the business side, and that's the angle that I need to start to consider or to learn before I walk into a different discussion in the future and try to offer my opinions, right? And it's gonna be harder too, because remember, like, these people are well experienced in the field, and I barely have 3, pushing 4. But that's more on the system side and not necessarily the business. But anyways, that's pretty much what I want to talk about today. I do want to know if you guys have been into a heated argument at a corporate setting. I think at a blue collar level, it's fine, funny, is target practice, in my opinion. I had a lot of fun arguing with people who are supposed to be in power and telling them to go screw themselves. But in corporate, it's different. One, because you're being paid a lot more, right? And there's a lot more to lose. It's your freaking career too, right? And 3, like, you have to work with these people. You're gonna see them all the time unless you transition. But if you're forced out, that's also bad, right? So I don't know, fellas. I do want to know what are your experiences. I'm curious to know. I hope you guys liked the snipes that I had. Solid snipes, in my opinion. I think some of y'all will agree that I've shown in the background. Fortunately, however, it likes to lag. I don't understand it. I don't understand why. If anybody knows a better recording software than the one I have OBS Studios. It's been putting work. It's been putting in work since I downloaded it, since I started this YouTube venture for like 3-4 years now. It's only recently it's been acting up, and it acts up at the worst possible time. But I think now it's been acting up just because it wants to. Alright then, fellas, please let me know your experience in having disagreements, whether it be with friends, whether it be at work. I'm curious to know what y'all deal with, and of course, if you have any suggestions for me to learn, I'm open to hear and read you guys in the comment section below. Alright then, fellas.